Hello, everybody.
Oh.
I'm so sorry that went took a bit, but yeah, we couldn't connect. Well, she couldn't connect.
Yeah.
So good to see you. Good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience. This time I used Safari and it tended to work, get me in. So,
Oh, cool.
yes,
Well, yeah, we didn't have any time to preparation or talk about anything, so we're just gonna wing it.
that's right.
And give me a 5 in the chat if everything is fine. The sound, if I'm too loud or she's too low in sound, then I can put her up. Let me know. And let me check in the meantime if the streams are going. Should be. Let me see. 5 by 5. I get there in Rumble. Yay. And we're good on, yeah, we're good on D Live and we're good on. Yeah, okay, we got that. So, 5 by 5. Good to see you, Sanaya. Good to see you, Leyland, Brooke, Dennis, and Disco Daphne. Thank you to be there for me in the Rumble and in Pill.net. Help me remember the scratch off because I always forget. Anyway, today we are here with Becky, our
Correct.
Rebecca Wertz, and actually, I put in the title Pre-Birth Memories.
Yes, that's right.
And I'm completely blank slate. So um, just give me, tell about yourself. Who are you?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Rebecca Wertz, and I am a certified, board certified coach, and I like to give like spiritual coaching, pain coaching, because I do suffer from chronic pain, as well as starseed readings. I'm very connected with our divine ET neighbors. And then I'm also certified as a harp therapist. So actually, we're supposed to call ourselves a therapeutic harpist. But anyway,
Right,
yeah, so I've got a lot going on, but I love it. I love the diversity.
right.
And I had a spiritual awakening in 2006 where I was just generally interested in contacting with guides and everything. I was raised in a very orthodox religion, the Mormon religion. So once I had left that and kind of went wild for a bit, because that's what you do when you are in a strict religion and you grow up and you're like, wow, I haven't been able to do anything. So, I explored myself a little bit, explored my spirituality, and just yeah, had an awakening after I contacted my guides, and some divine ET groups came in during that contact. During that awakening, I had some pre-birth memories return to me, along with past lives, or I I think they're simultaneous lives, but we call them past or future lives. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of information, and I have a YouTube channel, Starseed Angel Guide. I recently changed my name from Harp Strings and Wings to Starseed Angel Guide. And on that channel, I share a lot of my experiences, channelings or information, harp music as well. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I have all the links actually in the
thank
description
you.
for those that want to check it out. And so, can you tell us a bit about your pre-birth memories, how that came to be, and what the memories are?
Yeah, so I grew up with a very traumatic childhood, and there was all forms of abuse within my family. And it was during my abuse recovery in my 20s, it was hard for me to understand why I was in this family, to begin with. And I, when I went into question that myself, a memory surfaced about being in a pre-birth kind of waiting space with them with this family group in the planning stages. I remember sort of like a screen and a table, and this family was super excited about what they wanted to plan regarding their lives. And there was this whole um, orchestration of intertwined lives. And I remember there was kind of a call for a volunteer to step forward and take on the harder part of being part of this family, um, which I now understand is to be the abuse. And also, I had to come forward and press charges and go to trial and testify
Oh,
and
wow.
all of that. Yeah, it was a lot. And ultimately, the abuser went to prison, all of that. So there was a big role I had to play in that. And I do remember offering and volunteering. So that was like my first pre-birth memory, was volunteering for this difficult role. But it was more than that. Now I understand it from like a start seed perspective, way shower, that sort of thing, to come also to earth at this time to raise its vibration, to be a guide for people between their guides, learning who their star families are. So I understand now that it was kind of a two-part thing.
Right.
So, yeah. So
So did
that's my
you
first memory.
so when did you get that memory back, or did you have it always?
So it was very vague at first. In my early 20s is actually, I feel like it was the time that it came to me when I was suicidal. Sorry if this is trigger warning.
Mm.
But I always have to say
We've all
that.
been there. We've all been there.
Yeah, right? It's hard to say on the planet. But now we understand why it's so important. But yeah, it kind of came as a vague memory of being there, and the volunteering aspect. And there was no specifics, and it felt like almost it was grayed out in a way. And the more that I spiritually just evolved myself and healed and grew, it was like more and more information came into that memory, and it became a lot clearer, and I understood. And I couldn't understand why I would volunteer to be a part of this family. Why would I volunteer to be abused by somebody, to
Right.
go through all of that? It was very hard for me to understand that, but it was clear as day and I couldn't deny it. So it helped in my growth process to understand a little bit, why I volunteered, and it also helped me in the forgiveness process.
So then, when you had these memories that were pre-birth,
Mhm,
and how you met, I guess, you guys or soul
mhm,
family, and they would tell you what your life was going to be about. Were
mhm.
they like detailed about it, or were they, because we come in this earth with amnesia. I
Uh-huh,
mean, nobody warned me about it, so I still deal with that crap, right? But at least if you have like upfront, well, once you understand what's going on, it becomes, I guess, you can reconcile with whatever is. And
mhm.
so, how when you got these memories about the pre-birth, so is it like right before you are born? How did that go about?
Mhm. Yeah, we were just like in spirit age form. I wasn't in child form. I was like how I am now, like, in adult form, coming in and just falling in love with this family group and their enthusiasm for handling some really big leaps of growth. And I think I wanted to support that, but I don't remember seeing anything on the screen or anything like that, because I got the memory returned to me when everything had already happened.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then, as I've gotten older, I've come to understand that generational healing, especially with trauma and mental illness on both of my sides of my parents, my mother's side, my father's side, had mental illness. And we had such it was very taboo. It was very stigmatized, growing up. It was like, if you're crazy, something's wrong with you. And so I definitely feel like I picked two really heavy duty lines there for for healing a lot of that.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. So w- do you remember the whole birth process?
no, I do not. Um, I did an exercise in which, how you can kind of go back and feel like what it was like in your mother's womb or something like that, but I don't have any like conscious memories of the
Right.
birth process. Yeah. It was just the
Wow.
pre-planning. Yeah. It was spirit world stuff.
Right, right, right. Good to see you there, Feisty Kitty. So if anybody has questions, just drop them in
Oh,
the
please. Yeah.
in the chat, and I will put them up. So, and so you said that you would have contact with, the extraterrestrials.
Mhm.
When did that started?
Yeah, so I did a little like connect with your guides and I just listened to hear what names came through. I didn't know how to do this or anything. I felt very just like, okay, let's see if this works. I had studied a lot of near death experiences and felt like that was really launching me into exploring and discovering this information. So the first one of the names I got was Andromeda. And to my knowledge,
It's
I
right
just
now.
thought, "Oh, that's wonderful." So, to my knowledge, I was just like, "I've never heard of I was like, "Isn't that a Greek goddess?" Like, "Okay, I've got a Greek goddess, as my guide." I didn't understand that at first. So, that night, I had a dream where I was standing by a chalkboard and an alien type being was having me write Arcturo. So they shortened their name from Arcturian to Arcturo so that I could remember it because dream brain, as we know, when we wake up, we tend to forget things. So I
Right,
was like, well, I mean, I really remember that. So let me Google, you know, Arcturo. And then the Arcturians came up. And then I saw, as I was looking at different ET groups, the Andromedans were in there too. So then I put two and two together and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm being contacted by these extraterrestrial beings that are
right,
divine and are here to assist us. And then it gets, you just gets further into it, you get more curious, so you maybe decide to contact them, by protecting yourself first, whatever, because this is new, you probably have some fear around it. And so but I had many experiences with them in dream, in lucid state, in meditative state, and now I understand that I've had lives, you know, as an Arcturian or whatnot, so I can connect with that part of myself. So yeah, it's very exciting. Oh man, it was such an amazing time in my life, and I could just feel downloads when they would come in and
wow,
how blissful they felt. I heard the tones, the high pitched ring in the ear, all of that, and I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. Um,
yeah. Can
I
you
didn't even know.
describe that?
Yeah, so I didn't even know what it was. Um, I thought I was having a seizure, so I actually went to get checked out, get I forget what it's called, the EEG or whatever it is that hooks up to the brain and does that. But what it was is it was one of those nights where I don't know if anybody has experienced this, but you go to sleep and you feel like you could open your eyes and still see the room around you,
Hmm.
um, but your eyes are closed. So I was kind of in that state where I was seeing astrally like the room around me. And then um, I just had this feeling of a wave like kind of go through me. And it started from my spine and went up into the base of my skull. And it came with a color. So the
Right.
color was like a light baby blue, and it felt blissful during the experience. And then I finally did actually wake up and I was like, what the hell was that? you know,
Yeah.
maybe I need to go see the doctor or something. So I spent forever trying to figure out online what that was. And then finally came across an explanation of the Kundalini awakening. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. The uncoiling of the serpent, from the base of your spine upwards.
Oh, I
So,
don't have that experience, but I do have the experience that you have your eyes closed, but yet
mhm.
it was actually on my couch. I had the computer like next to my couch. I was watching and I fell asleep somehow. And then with my eyes closed, I was still watching on the computer. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I was so aware of it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is quite cool. I
Right.
know that I have my eyes closed, and yet I'm still there where I was before.
Yep.
And it was really weird, but I didn't have the Kundalini thing that you had. But I do, and a lucid dream where I woke up in the dream and the dream continued, and it was
Mhm.
so clear. It was so
Mhm.
incredibly clear, and it was amazing. Um, and I was like, "Oh, don't stop! I just want to
Yeah.
see everything, right?" But then eventually the story stopped, and I guess I had to see what I needed to see. But so after that, did you had any other experience regarding this, or was it just did it stay with you? Did that experience in the sense that it heightened also your abilities?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the psychic
Yes.
level.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of that started waking up in me. And then I think the biggest next experience was I was trying to get pregnant. I had a lot of early miscarriages. Um, and I had my daughter in 2015, and she's 8 now. But I had a very traumatic birth, and I almost died. I had a retained placenta, and I lost consciousness and passed out from hemorrhaging. And I had to have emergency surgery to get it removed. When I woke up from the surgery, I knew I had been somewhere, but everything was white. So mad about that, by the way.
Oh wow,
I
yeah, I would.
wanted to remember so badly, but all I knew was that I had an amazing conversation with somebody. Um, so anyway, after that, I had to have 2 blood transfusions to even get myself to keep living, basically,
Right.
because my counts were so low. After that, it was like a second spiritual awakening slash almost NDE type of experience. Um, During that year, I had amazing abilities. Like I could sense. Oh gosh, there's just so much. Like I'd walk, I'd break machines, I'd bust out lights. Like at work, I was working at the time as well. My daughter was at home with my mother-in-law, and so I was able to work, and I was having these out of body experiences so easily this time around. I didn't really have to try. I would just pop out. I would remember. I did have an NDE type dream experience in a way where I was, in some around some really tall fir trees, and you could kind of see like there was a path in the middle of them, and then you could see the stars. And so I wanted to go up into the stars, and it kind of resembled a tunnel. And
Right.
then I could see this point of light that I was trying to get to, right? And then I got to that light, and they're like, "What are you doing here? Go back down." They were just like, "Yeah, nice try." It was almost humorous to them, you know?
Right, right, right.
They're
Wait,
like,
so you didn't have like free will?
"Yeah, it just happened."
Right.
Yeah, it was
Well, yeah,
like,
you also chose this life, right? For a reason.
yes,
So I
yes.
guess you were already aware that, yeah, that was not the way to go.
It wasn't my time, yeah.
Was
They're like,
it?
"What are you doing here? Go back down. You know better than that."
Yes, yes.
That kind of thing. So that was a cool experience, and then another experience happened in this year postpartum, was the full memory, and like you said, you wake up in a dream and you know what's going on. That's exactly what was happening in this one, of another pre-birth experience, but this time it was of another life. And what was given to me was the whole preparation process before we go down into our life. So I was there in a sort of heavenly atmosphere, right? And it had this bubble dome over this atmosphere, this place. There was a guide there. The guide was preparing somebody else to go down to earth. And I was this curious little bubble orb, very childlike, very just, "Oh, what's that? What's he doing? Oh, that looks interesting." So I go to this guide and I say, "Hey, I want to go down too, or I want to see what that's like as well." And he's like, "Okay." So the first thing I remember is going through this, like the bubble barrier, which I now understand was like a veil. So I went through this and I could feel the resistance of that barrier. And then I was asked to get in it. So what it was presented to me was like a roller coaster, and I was getting into that little roller coaster car. and then there was this chute down to earth, basically like you were preparing to go down this tunnel to earth. And
I
but
have
then
that
once,
memory too,
do
actually.
you?
Yes,
Oh my
I
gosh.
do. Well, it came after I had a conversation with somebody that has contacts, um, and so I had a 2 hour conversation with this Pleiadian, and so he explained how that works, and especially when you are from Andromeda or Arcturian, you have to go to lower dimensions in order to acclimate
Mm,
to how to come in Earth. And so what I understood is that we had to go to the Pleiadians because that's the closest that in
yes.
vibration that we get to Earth. And from
Yes.
there, and it's interesting because this whole tunnel, there were multiple people, which is like soul family that you meet on Earth as well. It can be friends, it can be whatever, and some were in suspension because you have different ages, and
Mhm.
so it's like time doesn't exist, so you come in. And so I've met some of these people, and then, but yeah, how is that possible? Because I'm way older than you, and it's because there is this suspension, but time doesn't exist in that moment. But
Mhm.
yet, as soon as you hit Earth in your birth,
Right.
that's when the time exists. So,
Mhm.
but at the same time, you're all being sent at the same time, kind
Hmm.
of, if that makes
That
sense.
makes, yeah, it does make a lot of sense because then it's like it makes sense for when you come back and they're there to greet you kind of thing or
Yeah,
yeah, like it's almost as if a part of your soul incarnates, but your soul is still there
right,
in a way.
right.
Yeah.
And
So,
the tunnel, I
yeah.
remember that it's like a roller
Yeah.
coaster type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was shown to me like that. But then what I understood once I got into this car was actually it was the vehicle of the light body. And then what he wanted me to do, or what I was being guided to do, was, I'm used to being this little orb, right? Was to spread my energy as far and as hard as I could to fit the nooks and crannies of this light body. And I remember it being difficult. Like it was
Oof.
difficult to hold it. And then
Yes.
once they were satisfied with that, it was like, okay, see ya, boink.
Right, right. Because
And
I
then,
remember having a conversation with Christian Sundberg. He's actually, I had an
oh, I
interview
know
with him.
him. Yeah.
Yes, and he was like, "I wanna go back. I don't wanna do this, like, I don't like this at all." And,
Yeah.
in my case of what I have been told by this Pleiadian, I literally spoke 2 hours straight with him, and he gave me memories back because he
Wow.
started crying, I started crying because all of a sudden everything started flooding in. And so, what I was told that, well, and I couldn't remember the first 7 years of my life. So what happened was
Mm,
I kept going back out of my body because there
mhm,
were these reptilians coming in my room. And as
mhm.
soon as that happened, I would get out of my body and go back there. But they were like, "Can we keep her here?" But they had to answer to higher authorities, like,
Mm,
the Andromedans. And so they had no authority whatsoever over me. They had to keep sending me back.
mm,
And that's what happened. And so, if for him it was like yesterday, and for me it's obviously I couldn't remember any of it until he actually said, "We've met before." And right
mm,
then and there, everything started flooding in. And I was like, "Oh my God, I went out of my body, didn't I?" And he said, "Yes. And you kept
yeah.
coming back and back and back. And we had to send you back and back again." And and I was like, wow, I was so flabbergasted by that.
Yeah.
And then the reason that I forgot the first 7 years is because later I was switched as a walk-in, but that's still your same soul. And
Right.
so, but you still have that cell memory. But
Yes.
it was really hard for me to And still, I only have like little pieces of what happened before I was 7. But for the rest, even if I look at the pictures, it's like looking at a stranger completely. And
Yes,
so,
it really is.
and I remember very well when that soul switch happened.
Mhm.
um I was literally, it was like literally I was dropped on the earth, and I was like, what am I doing here? And who are these beings here? And
Mm.
am I adopted? And the whole thing that is typical for walk-ins to question. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was freaking torture, and it's
Wow.
been torture ever since to be here. I still need to integrate that soul with the 3D body. And I was told by somebody that actually works with it. I had him on my channel as well. And he said, as long as you do not integrate that soul part of yourself with the physical body that you are here in the 3D, you're going to have difficulty. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's
That makes a lot
what
of
I'm,
sense. I
yeah,
resonate
it's
with that as well. It's I feel like my biggest challenge right now is still trying to get used to the body. And there's just so much, it's just so difficult to accept, and it's not how I remember looking, being the physique, everything, it just
right.
feels so foreign to me. So I get that. The pre-birth experience continues. Would you like to hear a little bit more about
Yes,
that?
please.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing, by the way. That was so fascinating. Um, so after I went down the earth tunnel, or the tunnel to earth, or whatever it is, the next memory I have is being kind of outside of the mother to be, who was going to be my mother. Um, and I could feel her labor pains and
Oh,
yeah, and her emotions about having a baby. She was very, very excited, and very much looking forward to having me. I don't feel like she had any other children, like maybe I was her first. And then the next memory I have was being 1 years old in a high chair, and I was a boy, realizing that I was a boy. Yeah, and I was having my first birthday. And then after that, that's all that was given to me regarding the memory. I woke up. And I think because mainly I didn't I was worried that I was like, oh gosh, I hope I didn't die, and that's all I remembered. But I think maybe it was more that I wasn't given any more information, just because it can become really confusing with the
right.
current incarnation. But to me, that was enough information about the whole spiritual pre-birth process,
Yes.
um, and how I found it so fascinating. And just um, all that led me there was curiosity. Oh, I want to see what this is like. And boom, okay, fine, here you go.
Right.
I'm like, what, wait? And then I had this other that first pre-birth memory where there's tons of planning involved. So it was very strange, that I had these two very different experiences.
So what kind of planning was it? Oh, that's the one that you're
The
in now.
first one.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. For this
Because
life.
I do QHHC or
Oh,
BQH.
wonderful.
And so I had loads of sessions myself, and I've seen loads of lives that I had
Mhm.
as well on the planet as off planet. On planet was always torture and terrible, but
Yes.
off planet it was, well, different because you don't experience the emotions the way that you do here.
Yeah.
And so it's more, I guess, neutral, I want to say. But as for the Andromeda, I just I just feel that like I'm clear cognizance. So I do feel that. I know that's within me. But then also all the other lives, like a panther being, Lyran, um,
Lyran, yes.
which the Lyran actually went to Andromeda eventually because, there was the war going on. And but also in the inner earth. And so
Mhm.
there, and Lumeria, and
Lemuria, yeah, same.
so many of these lives that I've seen, and they all resonated with me, and I lived
Mhm.
them because when you do QHHC session or BQH, whatever you want to call them, it's you relive, like you literally see from your eyes what
Yeah.
is different than a regression, right? It's like
Right.
you're there. And
Yeah.
so it's very interesting to experience that. And then within this life, memories start pouring in from
Hmm.
the lives that I saw. And I was like, oh my God, now this makes sense, that makes sense, right? But
Yes.
obviously, I haven't had it as clear as you had without like QHC session,
Mhm.
or other people that have sessions with me. But there are these rare gems like you and Christian, by the way, and there are a few others that literally have these memories up
Yeah.
front before. So when you were you very aware about the amnesia part that you were born with that?
Um, I would say only that now when I can reflect back on it, gosh, how heavy that was, you know? Um, um, but I get it now. I get why it had to be. But as I, you know, more evolve myself, and I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm ready. Give me more information. But
Yes.
it's really not how it works. Like, there was a future life. I call it a future life, but it's again, I was actually an ET being, and this life came back to me when I was on a beach in Mexico with the sun on me. So I don't know if the sun had some kind of activation or something going on. I remember being completely blissful at the time, and so maybe that was a good time for it to come back in. But I remember being a being that was in charge, very tall, very like silvery blue skin, male-ish, you know, kind of um, energy.
Right.
Not sure male, female, or whatever existed with this race, but it that's what it felt like to me. And I was in charge of this planet where they had very just simple beings that were doing a lot of, I guess, mining or some kind of mining. I don't know exactly what was going on, but I was afraid of authority that was coming in from other places in the universe, and they wanted to destroy this planet or these beings or something. And I felt responsible for that happening, and it was devastating to me, that I had let that happen, even though these beings were, I wouldn't, it's almost as if they were like what our conscious, like our pet's consciousness is at, their consciousness was at. So it's like just very simple and very, you know, not as awakened as like or evolved consciously as like a human, or, you know, like the species I was as this extraterrestrial being. So I felt bad that they were destroyed and that it
Can
happened
you
out of fear.
describe to me what they look like? Because I've been in one of those planets where we were like
Really?
a cog, like everybody was a cog in a machine. And so we all
Hmm.
had the only purpose we had is to save that planet,
Hmm.
you know, and we knew that any moment we could be attacked. But as long as we stayed doing what we do, and it was really neutral, it was almost like a robot like, it was really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were completely white beings, but we all had telepathic contact, and
Yes.
everybody was a cog in the machine. And then we got attacked, and that's when how we were wiped out. And
Yes.
I remember listening to you were on Next Level Soul,
Yes.
and I actually watched only a piece because then I got a phone call, whatnot. And I never got back to it. And I thought it's good I don't go back to it because I want to go like in it with a clean slate. But I heard that part. And then instantly I was like, hang on, was that her that actually attacked our planet?
Oh no. So it no, I was more of a manager. I was supposed to look out for them. I was supposed
Okay.
to protect them, and I was intimidated by the beings or whatever that wanted to come in and either take away their resources that they were mining or whatever it was that they were doing, the cog in the wheel on the planet, right? That's
Yeah.
exactly how I saw it. It was like they were all, and it was very like robotic.
Yes.
So yeah, that's exactly how I felt. And then I was so intimidated by them, and I'd let their energy overthrow me, and I didn't have the courage to stand up to them. And that's what I had guilt, because then it was attacked and destroyed and
Right.
whatnot. I did not attack and destroy them. I wouldn't, but I felt like I could have been braver and I could have stood up to them. And so that was a big reason of why I wanted to come back and help here on earth,
Wow.
because
Wow.
I had a lot of guilt, I had a lot of remorse. And they
So
were,
then
yeah,
why, because that was another planet, right? So then why
yes,
Earth? What is do you have any information on, about Earth itself and the whole purpose of Earth?
just like everybody else talks about, the experiment, the school type atmosphere where we're learning, we're going through a big shift and a big change. The whole free will type experiment here too is like, that's not done everywhere, kind of
It
thing.
isn't?
Well, I mean, in terms of like, the I guess the duality and the polarity that we have, the intenseness of it here
Right.
compared to like other places where it feels like a lighter version.
Right, right,
you
right.
know, Here it's like boot camp. you
Right.
know?
I always say that. I always say that. It's like our feelings are much more heightened.
Yeah.
Everything is way stronger than on any other
Yes.
planet.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, well, I did live them in these, sessions, these quantum hypnosis sessions. And I remember it was never as intense as it's here.
Yeah.
It's freaking intense.
Yes.
And that, though, makes it, because if you do have these memories and you do have these experiences from other planets, then, and you are aware of them,
Hmm.
and then you realize how freaking heavy it is. But on the other hand, there is also this beauty, as I hear
Yeah.
Peter Maxwell Slattery talk about. We're the only ones that are able to smell a flower or have that joy, or whatever positive emotions that we have are heightened to a level that nobody else has. But then
Hmm.
again, on the other side, the same is with the suffering, right?
Yeah.
Everything is like, and this is where we have to balance ourselves out, I guess.
Absolutely. It's yeah, it's everything is extreme. Extreme,
Right.
extreme, extreme. It's like um but again, like there's a sensation, there's a human sensation that I know I'm going to miss on the other side, and that's skin to skin. You just
Is
can't
it?
get that skin to skin feeling of, touching somebody else and feeling their skin is just so right here, so alive here. And also just eating food. I just
Yeah.
really like food.
It
Being here
reminds
and
me of the
eating food.
Matrix, by the way, where somebody goes back in the Matrix for a second because of the food.
They want a
And
donut.
but when I think about, like, in the Pleiadians, they kind of have the same, but I guess everything is more spiritual and mentally.
Hmm.
So instead of the sensation of feeling with your hands and with your skin.
Hmm.
And so I do think that's quite a cool thing to have too.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And
Yeah.
just this illusion that we are separate. That's another thing that's here. Because when you are a Palladian or Arcturian, you are actually a we, and the we is one, you know?
Yeah.
Because here is where you feel very individual, and our culture and society and stuff even sets it up in that kind of way where you were that person is that person, it's and we're learning how to kind of unravel that and be more connected with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have, like, experience. You said, like, Andromeda came to
Hmm.
you and Arcturian, but you
Yeah.
didn't know anything about it.
What do you mean?
I mean, you didn't know until you start researching. You didn't know.
Yeah, I did not know anything about them.
But did you have any memory about what it looked like? Or because, I don't know, maybe you did.
So I would say more as a kid, I felt that I was always interested in everything kind of sci-fi. Um, so I grew up watching a lot of sci-fi like Doctor Who and Star Trek and all of that. And I was just always into it. And I always had a fear of the grays. So I think I had some
Yeah.
kind of experiences with them. As a child, I have one dream that I remember my mom going to a ship and I was screaming and calling her name and she wouldn't wake up out of her trance walk to this ship and it scared me. So I know as a young kid too, I was able to activate my third eye and see it very clearly and grow it as well. So I know I had these abilities, but growing up in the religion and the Mormon church and stuff, you're told to just kind of like put that stuff aside or whatnot. And
Yeah. Hell.
as a teenager, I withdrew from the abuse so much. I dropped out of school. I went to like a aid to homeschool Benjamin Franklin Academy. And so it was weird. Like I would go to school, but like it was all ages because it was just homeschool, like in one classroom. And I just withdrew at that time because I didn't really have my peers around me anymore. So when that started happening, because I was still not accepting that the abuse happened in my life, like it was still shoved down.
Right.
um I would try to get through my day without talking to anybody. I just really, really shut down. And it was during that time that I got a journal and I started writing in this journal. And my ET guides in my group, I would say they're probably the Palladians, came through at that time, but I didn't understand what was going on and I thought I was losing my mind. And so I would channel write symbols and light language and messages from them because I think they knew I was shutting down. Um, yeah. And
Wow.
then I was so ashamed of it because mental illness and my family is now here I am going crazy. I ripped it out and I think I don't know what I did. I threw it away or something, but I kept the journal itself with the front page and the symbol. So I kept that as much as, but I was channeling even back then and didn't realize it because I thought I was going
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
So do you
So
have that, like, do you have that still today,
I
or
do. It's like in one of my drawers in my other room. I didn't bring it in.
yeah, no, but I mean, you're still doing channeling
Oh,
today.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I do that during just star seed readings too. They'll drop in and I'll find out new information I didn't even know just through giving somebody else a reading.
so can you tell me how that works, and so that people
Yeah.
know what they can expect if they want to contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, I guess how I start my readings is I pull some oracle cards. I love Rebecca Campbell's decks are really beautiful. I have the Starseed one too. I don't have it here,
Oh,
but it's in my other room. But I'll kind of get a direction for the reading, and about some themes and everything, and then I will ask the person if they have a specific question or anything they would like to address. So we'll kind of go over that in the first half of the reading, and then the second I will directly channel. And I had pets come through, I had deceased relatives come through, and then I have star groups that come through that have been working. And with some of them it's a very clear, like, oh, you are definitely have your Lyran family around you in this incarnation. And then there's others that are just fledgling, like awakened, like a Palladian, like she's coming into her knowingness and her spiritual awakening. And they always give me enough information that's supposed to be shared, but not too much. Because um, if you're given too much information, you tend to probably reject it, or maybe it's not time. Does that make
right.
sense?
Yeah,
Yeah. And there's something more powerful about it being discovered by yourself and not given through necessarily, like I feel like I get people started on the path,
yeah,
but for them to truly experience their lives coming back to them, their experiences, their one-on-one connections, I kind of like get them started with
Right.
that. And then they
Yeah.
report back to me, "Oh my gosh, look at this picture of this ship. I just was walking my dog the other day. Look at it, it's in the sky." I just had that happen with a lady, and now she's booked a second reading because she wants a little bit more information about how she can connect with her Pleiadian self. And then there's another individual I'm working with that the Arcturians wanted to recalibrate his nervous system. That's exactly what they said. And they, I just kind of gave them an example, or gave this guy an example of how to connect with them, protect himself, open himself. You might hear clicks, tones, beeps, like different things that might happen, because this is what I've had happen. So I just try to get people started, and then they will report back to me, "Oh my gosh, I had this amazing experience with them. I felt it. It really happened." So
Yeah.
I get people started. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a bit like how also the quantum hypnosis kind of works, and they only get to hear what's important for them now at this
Yes,
moment. So then sometimes, you connect also to their higher self and they have questions. Sometimes you just simply don't get an answer because you're not
that's
ready
true.
for it,
That
right?
is true. I feel
So
like they give us breadcrumbs. I call it breadcrumbs. They
yeah,
like to kind of tease us a little, but they're not going to give us the full story, because that's taking away like a Christmas present.
right.
Our
Yeah, because
growth experience. Yeah.
yeah, you need to go through the works, because you're not just like boom ready for whatever, right?
Yeah.
So if you channel, is that
Mhm.
like, does that come spontaneous, or do you need to prepare for that, or how does that
Mhm.
work, or does it
Yeah.
just come, you know do you just say like, okay, bring it on?
So, usually I will get a feeling if the Palladians or the Arcturians want to come through with a specific message. um, it'll come through to me when I'm driving, taking a shower, doing some kind of monotonous work where my brain is free. It's like light concentration. And then
Right.
I'll get this, I guess you would call it a download. And I'm like, oh, and then I start getting inspired with, can I add music? Can I add certain pictures or video footage or something like that? And then sometimes I'll jot down and write the specific message. Um,
Yes.
and so it'll come that way. Sometimes I have one video on my channel where I just decided to get on and channel directly without any preparation.
Oh,
That
and
was
how did
fun. It went really well. I channeled the Pleiadians. I think it's called Pleiadians on Human Life and Suicide or something like that. So I went in and directly channeled and had them come through. And that was like one of my first times ever doing that. And I don't know what inspired me to do that, because usually I'm very, reserved and like kind of shy and everything. But when they work with you, they work with you, and then they kind of fire you up, and then you're like, I
right.
have to share this message. So,
Exactly. Hi, Scott. Hi, Alexa. Good to see you. But so could you like channel on a live, or would
mhm.
that be like difficult to do?
I did it last night for a group retreat in Sedona.
Oh, you did?
The Galactic Federation of Light came through, and they don't often come through, but they love to work with group energy. So, yeah, I wouldn't
So
mind at all.
would you have like a message for like people in general, like those
Mhm,
watching, that they need to know? Because sometimes,
mhm,
it can be for a specific person, it can be for the whole group, it can
mhm.
be whatever. But are you able to do that? I
Yeah,
know I put you on
absolutely.
the spot here, but
No, I'm perfectly fine. In fact, I already know what it is that they're trying to share right now, and that's, we're you guys, this is big. Um we People like me are coming forward right now to get us comfortable with their energy, with their memories. You guys, if ETs were to ever come in contact with us here on Earth, the best way to prepare us is by having individual spiritual experiences and remembrances of lives that we maybe were a layer in or something like that, because then we trust and we know. And it's not some kind of flash in the sky that we think is being created by a government or something like that. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like
Right.
invasion or something like that. It's not going to be like that. It's like an inside out job. So we're going to know those energies inside first. And so um, we are waking up to find our star tribes by connecting with these beings that we've had incarnations with. And I'm just here to help assist in the remembrance of that and get, like I said, get a person started and get on their way, because we're preparing for their involvement with us and their help with us in an even more, hopefully, physical way. But again, things are so dense right now, and it's physically uncomfortable, for a lot of
Yes.
them to just drop down and be like, poof, I'm here. It's like we have to do the raising, and of the vibration as well. So I'm feeling like 10, 15 years time frame, a lot of this is going to be happening, and it's exciting. I have a vision of myself being an old lady with gray hair and wearing maybe like some kind of oh, what are those long shirts called? I forget what they're called, but
Like,
it doesn't matter. You know what I'm talking about, like
yeah.
just like a plain shirt, and then over my neck I'm wearing some kind of crystal or stone, and at times I feel like it activates or it lights up, and I see myself giving literal tours inside ships to people that are ready, and to help with any kind of fears that come up or anything like that. And it gets me excited because it feels so real. And it's a vision that was given to me during this whole awakening process, and I can't get it out of my mind. And it excites me because there's so many technologies that we need to help solve a lot of our global issues. And I know that this is in our future, and it's exciting. So
Wow.
I hope that
So,
helps.
yes, I mean, well, I was on like Lemuria where I experienced the same process
Mm.
with Alexa, actually, who's in the chat. We did a session to each other because we were, practicing.
Mm.
And she was in Lemuria, and then she explained everything, where she was and how it went. And then she went in this state where she knew something was going to happen, but she couldn't get further. And
Yeah.
then the next day, the session was on me, and I got where she left off. And I was a male,
Okay.
and there was a war going on. There was lots of ego and stuff like that. But we were like pure and still working with nature and crystals and all that. And then all of a sudden, there was this flash, and what people call a solar flash, but it wasn't a solar flash. It might look like it, but it wasn't. And all of a sudden, boom, we were in the inner earth, and we
Mhm.
were transported there because we were still of that pure high
Mhm.
vibrational state.
Right.
So, in order to get us out of there, of what later became the Dark Ages, we were sent into the inner earth.
Mm.
And so that was what happened. And it was freaking amazing. And so it was beautiful that we both could confirm what we saw. And
Mhm.
later on as well, because you don't explain everything in detail during a session, but later when we talked, it's like, oh, did it look for you like this? Yeah, dude, I did
Oh.
actually the BQH session on my channel, and we just got these pieces out and back to back. And so, for anybody who's interested, you can watch it. But so, who did you channel, or do you just interpret from whoever is coming in?
Yes, always divine, law of one, highest good. So that is what I work with. Yes, I've had experiences with lower dimensional beings, and I'm good. I don't need to go there.
Yeah,
That was in the beginning before I knew how to protect myself, all of that.
yeah,
But yeah, the ones I actually channel are very high vibe, high dimensional. So Pleiadians, Andromedans, Lyrians, Sirians. Um, who else? Name a couple for me if I'm not thinking of them.
Arcturians,
Oh yes, Arcturian,
Lyrans. Who else do we?
Galactic Federation of Light. Those are the ones that I seem most like connected with. And it was really hard for me to accept. They kept calling me an ambassador, and I was like, no, 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 I'm not going to do this. This is going to be crazy person stuff. Like, I don't want to. I don't
Why
want to go
not?
into
Because
that.
at the end of the day, it is maybe part of your mission. Like, oh, the Alpha Centauri, you
Oh,
know?
yes, yes, yes. So there was just I was getting a lot of contact, but I was not wanting to step into that role for the longest time. So I finally did officially these past couple of years. And now I'm understanding. It's like it's so funny. It's like it can't be helped. People keep finding me and like podcasts and things. It's just like all these doors are opening. So I know it's the right path. And
Mm.
also I know it's the right path because it scares me. And
Yes.
that's when you know it's the right path and that there's growth involved. So stepping into that was very hard for me. I just wanted to be my quiet self. Don't I just want to create art and music. Everybody leave me alone.
Right, right, right. Still walking away from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you do channel, do you like get embodied by these beings? Hi,
Nothing
Skittle.
like that. I know that happens for some people, but it's not like that. I'm very comfortable with going in and out of the channel. So I will close my eyes. I will ground myself. I'll use like, rose quartz. I'll hold some kind of crystal and I'll use some kind of, essential oil. This is just my process. Very, very important to ground. Otherwise I'll get nauseous and feel sick and feel like maybe I want to leave the planet. That's why
Right,
it's so important to ground. So I will do all that. I will connect with the ethers, the universe above me, and I will ask my team to come forward. And so that's essentially like a lot of beings that will come forward, and immediately before I even have time to think, they will just announce their name. Arcturus is here. Pleiadians are here. Lyran, this person,
right,
and I will keep my eyes closed, and they will relate a lot of their information to me through a sense of humor, something I've already been through, or I'm embodying myself, currently learning a lesson is actually what our current energies are happening right now. So it's like I'm doing it for the collective. So I'll bring that up. Then I very much invite my clients or whoever's doing the reading, I'm doing the reading for, to have a full-on conversation with me as I'm channeling.
right.
So as if they could talk back and forth. So I
That's
can
what
go
I
in and out.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I've experienced with this Pleiadian as well. And for 2 hours we had a talk, and it was so amazing.
it is.
It was literally back and forth, and the person that was in the middle was just literally just a conduit
Mhm.
to it. So that's pretty much what you do.
Yeah. I don't have to do any weird thing. I don't have to
No,
like change my voice. And I don't mean to like say that that's wrong for anybody else. If they do that, that is their process. That's how they are connecting or whatever it is that they're doing. But for me, that's just never been how I wanted to come through or channel or bring that information. Sometimes I will use terms and language that I wouldn't use on my own.
right, right. Yes, I hear that a lot as well. So, is there anybody in the chat that has a question and maybe she can ask? I don't know.
Mhm.
We can see if there's anything that comes up. What I do notice lately is many people struggling, that includes myself, especially getting that vibration up. There's no stopping what is coming, and there is literally no shortcuts anymore. It's
Mhm.
literally going through the process, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's harder than others. It depends. But I noticed that many people around me have these symptoms of headaches,
Mhm.
congestion, stuff like that. I wonder, do you know anything about why that is?
The ascension process is all about, so like let's say for example you get a cold every year, and the cold is actually kind of this weird sort of awful feeling upgrade we're getting in our human system to handle the current energies, environment, weather, all the conditions around us. And
Yes.
it changes seasonally because the weather changes and our planet changes, so we
Right.
get this cold. So that's exactly what happens in terms of um, when you are evolving yourself. And so you will feel flattened out with ridiculous fatigue sometimes after getting a download, because when you're getting a download, it's hitting your vagus nerve, which is why you hear that high tone or that low tone. Sometimes it's a different tone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel almost a muted pressure coming in. And
Yes.
if you're really sensitive, you can definitely feel the download kind of almost lift you and being accepted into your body. It's kind of a blissful, some of them can be blissful. And then what happens is you feel really great during that process and for like the first day of that download, right? But
Yeah.
then the next subsequent days, you are completely flattened out. And what's happening is it's working its way into your own physical body, down through all your chakras, hitting all your blockages, because your emotions are stored all in all different parts of your body, traumas,
Right.
it's tweaking that right knee, whatever
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so it's going to be different for everybody, but you're going to kind of feel like crap for a couple days until it gets integrated, right? And then it's going to be anchored into the earth, and that's exactly how you lift the vibration of earth. It goes through you, it goes into the earth, and that's how you raise the frequency and the vibration of the planet.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah.
So, um,
And grid work too. Grid work, crystals, there's
right.
specific people that do that kind of work as well.
So, what do you do with the harp, as in healing work?
Yeah, so sometimes I do just improv playing with intention and light codes.
Okay. Wow.
I There was a period of time where I did a body of work where I just composed several um therapeutic music. And I used that in my practice when I would go to the hospitals, NICU, someone's bedside, just taking it wherever. I would even play for like at a Christmas party or whatever. I would still put in that intention while I was playing. And if it's activated and I do a specific video, when that person listens and watches, I expect that seed to be planted and something, whatever the intention was through that music, to be woken up in that person.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
it is. And it's just beautiful and peaceful to listen to, you know,
Right, right.
can't go wrong.
Hey, Sergeant Justice, good to see you. And Jay, good to see you there. So, what I did here, there are not that many Andromedans here.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder why that is, because many are like Pleiadians and,
Mm-hmm.
Syrian,
Mm-hmm.
all those. By the way, never heard really a lot about Venus, but whatever.
Oh,
Uh,
the Venusians. Yeah, yeah.
yes. So, do you know why that is?
That's a good question. I would have to ask them.
Oh,
So, do you mind if I tune in for a second? Because I've never thought of
no,
that.
not at
Okay.
all.
So when I do connect with the Andromedan energy, I always get this feeling of like but on a sci-fi spacey kind of way, the Native Americans of Earth, but they're that for space. So I
Right,
kind of have that same vibration where they're kind of like protectors and keepers and very in tune with like um uh natural elements and that sort of thing. I always just get that vibration from them, which is really, really beautiful. Almost elemental in a way as well. So let me ask why there's not many of them, because they seem quiet a lot. Um, and when I do channel, I don't get a lot of clients who were Andromedan or lived a life. But okay, so they're coming through and they're telling me they like to assist rather than incarnate. So there, like you said, there are a few of us here,
Yeah.
but what they prefer to do is they prefer to do the assisting in energetic form. So when you can connect with them in like lucid or meditative dream state, and they like to serve as those type of guides. They also like to very much work with the elements of earth and your ascension spiritual process, like coming up, um, because they understand how that serves your energetic body. And also, they know the natural gifts of earth and how it brings um, out a spiritual growth or spiritual evolution process, kind of being one and the same. They seem reserved, like I said, that energy. I don't want to use the term shy because they're always there to assist and everything, but it's almost as sacred. That's what I want to get sacred, that space that they kind of want to protect, but yet they still have so much love and service for us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So then what is the purpose of those that did reincarnate from the
Mm.
from Andromeda over here?
I
Because
think it's those of us that have bounced around a lot.
yeah. But
So we're okay. We're a little bit more comfortable with that because we're almost like travelers in a way. So yes, we had an Andromedan incarnation, but we also had a Syrian one and a Palladian one. We've been so many that it's
yes.
like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps. That it's like we're so comfortable with that dropping in and transitioning. You
Oh,
even mentioned yourself dropping in. You
right.
know,
Well,
it's
I'm
that
not
same
very
kind of
comfortable with it, to be honest.
right.
But
Like
I remember,
obviously this is the hardest.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember going from Andromeda, going a step down to the Alpha Centauri, from there going uh, to the Pleiadians, and from
Hmm.
there going to Earth. And I'm
Yes.
like, so you have to stay there for a while in order to
Hmm.
acclimatize, so to speak. So you have to constantly, and so what I hear a lot is these, um, these beings that are from a really high density, they need to lower themselves in order
Yes.
to be able to contact.
So they
And
have to go through that solar system sort of like downgraded trail of beings. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So those that are reincarnated here from there, the same problem, right? And all the more trauma, because like you, I grew up with a lot of trauma.
I'm
And so
sorry.
I
Yeah.
wonder, is that because, I don't know, we're be able to handle it better than anybody else? Because, if there's so few of them that are here, even though we did do the whole, route.
So two things. When we go through that, it's almost a guarantee that it's a good way to wake somebody up out of that earth amnesia that you were talking about. So
Right.
that's it's a launcher. It's a launcher into a spiritual awakening. Um, for most of us, I'd say some of us sometimes don't make it because it's that hard or
Yeah.
it, two, we chose like we're going through the grocery store and we're choosing like I want to address the body image issues. I want to address the mental health issues. I want to heal this. I want to heal that. It's almost as if we're choosing bits and pieces of what we want to experience. And when we go through it and we live it and we grow out of it and we've learned from it, that is how we heal
Right.
that generational trauma or that issue. Does that answer your
Interesting.
question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely have a lot of work to do still. But
Me too.
yeah, well, but I do like that you do this on the individual level, and there's
Mhm.
people that obviously have a lot of questions about themselves, and
Mhm.
not per se maybe where they come from, because that I always find that such a cliche, but at the
I
end of
know.
the day, It's
Yeah.
about, what do you need to hear now and what's important for
Mhm.
you now in order to raise that vibration and to develop yourself. I guess
Mhm.
that's the whole purpose of channeling and helping people as well, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
what would you like? Okay, so do you work like talking with these people about whatever is going on, and then you channel, and then you get the messages through
Mhm. Mhm.
what is relevant for that person at that time, which is freaking awesome. And
Mhm.
so, do you add other stuff to your sessions, like music or whatnot? If
I
that's
can if they request it.
right,
Absolutely. I have that as an option. And I want to start a free monthly Zoom call for starseeds, wayshowers, awakened individuals to come in and connect because we're so lonely and there's not
right,
a lot of people we can talk to about this stuff. And a lot of us are transitioning from third dimensional work, jobs, careers, and wanting to transition and know that we have like a spiritual calling and we want to move in that direction, but what does that look like in terms of work and everything? So a lot of people that come to me don't necessarily have the funds to join a Patreon or something, community
right,
type of thing. So that's why I wanted to have this free call so that people could make those connections.
right.
And yeah, and then I
Oh,
could play
that's
my music in that group call as well, but I have to figure out like Zoom because sometimes the audio does not come through well with music. I've
right.
noticed,
Yeah,
so I have
that's
to
an
figure that
issue.
out.
Yeah, I know that's an issue. I do believe there is a setting for that,
Mhm.
but I don't know if you use a microphone with that, with your harp, because in
Mhm.
that case, you can just plug that in.
Yeah, I'm gonna
However,
Google it, and then I'm gonna have my IT husband figure things out for me. He's the techie.
oh, good, good, good. So, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I recently changed my name from Harp Strings and Wings to Starseed Angel Guide because I believe that fits more of the direction that I'm going. So it's Starseed Angel Guide .com, and I also have a YouTube channel. It's Rebecca Wertz, and it's also Starseed Angel Guide as well.
Yeah.
I have an Instagram, same name. I have Facebook. Please bear with me if you still see like transitions in the name and everything and emails and all that. I'm getting everything like sorted out with that. But I would love to have you stop by the channel. The videos are free. You can watch them. There's a lot of interesting information. Doesn't matter if I did it 5 years ago, it still can resonate with you today. So
So then, where
yeah.
are you planning on doing the Zoom group
Oh,
meetings?
yeah. So the call that's coming up is actually this Friday. Um, United States Mountain Time will be 6 p.m. And you can just go to my website, fill out a contact form, leave your email in the email box, and then in the message box, say that you would like to have the Zoom link emailed to you, and you'll be included in that group.
Oh, cool.
So
Well,
yeah, yeah, awesome.
you can put me in.
Okay,
And
great.
yeah, and for everybody else who wants to join, just check the links below. And let me actually, in the meantime, release the scratch, which I always forget. I'm going to do that now. So that's done. And actually, is there also in D Live? There is probably, no, there's nothing to release there. Oh, hang on, there is actually. So done that. Okay, for whoever is in there. And okay, so I want to thank you for being here, although it was a bit late, but it doesn't matter. People can always watch back. It's still there. Whoever wants to join her group,
Thank
go
you.
and sign up in the website. And is there anything else that you want to say to the audience?
Just thank you. Thank you for having me here and having me tell my wackadoodle stories. I know they
Well,
seem really out there, but I'm so glad to connect with others like you, Patricia, and to have that validated, especially that other life, with the beings on the planet. That's just,
oh yeah,
it's
I heard that,
amazing.
and I was like, that was my planet.
Ah, it's so validating. And so this is why we need to connect. We need to find our tribes. We need to start waking up and remembering our galactic other galactic, lives. And
Absolutely.
really do believe the people that are drawn and led to watch these will be activated and awakened as well.
Yes.
So,
Actually, there are more than you might think. I've got loads of them on my channel, so you might want to go through that.
okay.
There are many, many star seeds and many people that are experiences, and because that's what I talk a lot about on my channel as well, besides healing stuff.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, there are quite a lot, and I see loads of them waking up more and more. So, they just have to come forward. That's a bit of a
Yeah.
problem,
That's
right?
that's the hard part, right? That's what I struggled with for years, but I'm so glad that I did because everything just falls into alignment once you do. Once you are of service and you speak your truth, you seriously can't go wrong. You are protected by the
Exactly.
universe. You really are. So,
Well, I want to thank you for being here, and maybe you can come back one day and we can
I
talk
love
more
that.
about it, and we can do maybe a channel.
Okay.
And thank you, everybody, for being here in the chat. And I'll see you back on Monday. Not sure what to do yet, but we'll see. Just
Okay.
going with the flow. And thank you, everybody, and see you soon. Have a good one. Bye all.
Bye.